What's up, everybody? It's Rich, the Side Eye Stitcher. It's been a while. I feel like I start every video off with that. Today's video is going to be kind of a hodgepodge of updates from the last 2 months, February and March. It's been a busy 2 months. As you can see in front of me right here, I have a absolutely massive finish that I want to show you guys. And this consumed so much of my time over the last couple months that I just don't even want to really admit that, but we'll get there in a second. I'm going to go over a couple of the lessons learned, I guess, some tips that I've got from doing this quilt. I'm sure everybody already knows the tips that I've got, but I'm going to do them anyways. And then I've also over here got my QuiltCon haul, because I went to QuiltCon, that was last month now at this point. I was pretty good. I will say I was pretty good. I'm sorry if I'm a little sniffly. It's allergy season here. It went straight from winter to pollen. All right. So as you can see behind me, there's a couple of things to update. Over here, we have the Tula Pink Nova. I started the middle pieces of that one. It's been really fun. I'm just waiting on some more fabric. I kind of picked a colorway that I want to go. I was really hoping, not so much at QuiltCon, but I went to the local, I think it was called the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival. It was in Newport News. And I was really hoping that they would have a lot more vendors that had fat quarters, specifically Tula Pink fat quarters. The one that I went to in Fredericksburg had a ton of vendors that all had Tula Pink colorful fat quarters, and I'm really kicking myself for not picking a bunch of them up. So that one's just kind of in a holding pattern. Over here, we have the Ramble Block of the Month quilt. I'm on the second month of that. I'm doing those on point squares in another square. And I'm actually going to do a quick demonstration of one of those in this video, because the instructions that come in the book have you do it one way, which is not how I've done FPP in the past. And I think it's just really cool how they do it, and it's so much easier. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess I don't know how I could implement that in, say, this quilt right here. It'll get there eventually. The Julius Handmade Block of the Month, which I am 2 months behind on that one. It's that one I've just kind of sewn through the paper, and then when it's all said, and actually I'm pretty sure there's still paper on the back of that quilt right now. So that's going to be a battle for a different day. And then it's actually right behind my head. That is another free quilt pattern that I found on the Andover website. I actually was going to try and find the quilt pattern that I used for this quilt, and I could not find it anymore. So I don't know where the pattern for this one went, but in the process, I found that one, and I still have a whole bunch of the fabric that I used for the background on this one. And so I opted to start. I told everybody I was going to have projects that were unsanctioned from my initial goals. Okay, so let's do my QuiltCon haul first, and then we'll get into this bad boy. So from QuiltCon, like I said, I did pretty good. I have been eyeballing. Where's the camera at? I've been eyeballing these for a while. So for the EPP projects that I've been working on, just because I've been using clips, and they get in the way and the string gets hung up on them, and I guess I've just never wanted to pay for shipping, which sounds really lame when you think about it in the long run, but they had them there, and I was able to actually play with them and take them apart and use them, and I was convinced. So I got myself a set. Some loose fat quarters. This is just a random fat quarter. Anna Maria Textiles. My son picked out a bunch of fat quarters for one of his projects, and I didn't want to only get fat quarters for him. I wanted to get one for me too. So I picked out that one. I thought, I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'll add it to my stash. I waited in line to do a Plinko style chip drop for free something, and we won these 2 free I don't know how you pronounce that, fat quarters. It's kind of an interesting, they feel almost canvas, but it might just be because it's got texture on it. Let's see if you can see that, but it's got texture on it. It's kind of funny. Either way, I don't know what I'm gonna use those for either, but we'll add those to the stash as well. So the big one that I got, and my mother-in-law thought I was crazy when I got this, but I got a quilt kit. One of my goals for the year, right, was I wanted to do a plaid-ish quilt that I want to hand quilt. This was actually one of the ones that I was eyeballing at the beginning, but there was a lot of colors that were involved in it, and I didn't have the confidence really to pick out colors. But it's the Petite Plaid from Lo and Behold Stitchery. And she had this colorway up on display, and then she also had this colorway and wintergreen quilt kit. It's the large throw size. It didn't come with binding or backing. I'm okay with that. I can pick those out, but it came with all of the fabric that I need for all of it, and I really like these colors. And it's Art Gallery fabrics. They're solids, the AGF solids. I love working with those. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use them for this quilt, but I was very excited that I was able to find that. So doing this one will check one of my to-dos off for the year. So that's exciting. I don't know when I'm going to crack into that one just yet, but it's been sitting on my desk. I have the new Fat Quarter Shop. Oh, this is a cross-stitch pattern for the forest in the... Yeah, I'm so many months behind on that. I haven't even picked up a cross-stitch in a couple months at this point. So, where's the other project? Oh, here we go. And then this was a complete impulse buy. Oh, let's try and find this without the glare. That's even worse. Okay, here we go. The mini series, the pineapple, Allison Glass, and Giuseppe. I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not even gonna try. They had a whole bunch of these on display, and they had them done in different ways. So like it wasn't necessarily all like they had left a solid in the middle and then went out, and then some of them didn't. They only did like the middle and then went out. It was different ways of doing it, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I bought one. It comes with the ability to have more of the patterns printed. And luckily at work, I have a large format printer that I think I can print out. I can print out a few more of these. Like I said, this was a complete impulse buy. And I don't really have, I don't know when I'm going to get around to this. It might be soon. It might not be soon. We'll see. But that was it. That was all I got from QuiltCon. Like I said, I think I did pretty good. As far as other projects that we have going on, one of the guys that works in my shop is having a little girl. And I've had this pattern for a while. So I found a fat quarter bundle of some AGF solids that are in some really, really pretty little girl colors. And I've been kind of tinkering with that when I have a few minutes here and there. I feel like that's going to be really kind of labor intensive assembling all of the bears. I've got most of the stuff cut out behind me over here, and then I've got The solids are over there ready to go. But this guy, it's done. I'll switch to the overhead shot here. 672 flying geese, all done. You can kind of see the pattern that's, oh, I gotta figure out which way to go here. The pattern that I went with quilting, I did have this one professionally quilted. Once I got it all assembled and I got it all done and I could see the whole thing together, I knew that there was no way that I was going to do this myself and mess it up. So I talked to my mother-in-law, who recommended a lady that she goes through for all of her Quilt to Valor quilts. It was an incredibly quick turnaround. She did an amazing job. There was a lot of feedback about like what color threads and everything we wanted to use, and then I'll try and get a picture of the backing. The backing is it's kind of, I think it's from the same line, adjacent as the other ones, but it's a 108. I'll try and get a picture of what it looks like all together because it's really, really cool. The dark gray fabric or dark gray thread for the thing, and then I used this teal blue binding for fabric for the binding. It was what the quilter recommended, and once she said it, I thought it was very cool, so I wasn't gonna question her judgment. Let's see if we can get this opened up so that we can get a better view of that backing. That's what the backing looks like. It's so cool. Yeah, it's done. Oh, and I just blew a piece of fabric off the back of my workbench. I'm gonna have to go get that later. I started this project in October when, for my birthday, my mother-in-law got me this. This is the Wing Clipper Flying Geese ruler, and 10 out of 10 would recommend this. This, I would not have taken on this project without this and being able to do these 4 at a time. I wouldn't have done it. The one takeaway from that is that these are directional prints. The text is going in one way. So not all of them have text going the same way. I didn't realize that until I was way into the process, and then I just tried to kind of coordinate it so that they weren't all going, like they kind of staggered and they went back and forth. But yes, this was like my tip number 1. If you're going to take on a quilt with this many flying geese, you need to have the ruler. As far as notions that you just can't get away without, she also got me, I don't know where it's at right now, but it's a ruler that's the same length. It's acrylic, and it's got a line on the middle, and it's got the 1/4 inch on both sides. If you're doing 1 or 2 flying geese, or you're 1 or 2 of anything that you're looking for very precision 1/4 inch measurements off both sides, absolutely, it's a valuable tool. When you're doing this many of them, it slowed me down, having to put the thing on there and then trace both sides for each square. It was too much. I stopped using it by about, I'm going to say halfway through. I realized very quickly that a lot of the accuracy that I was putting a lot of focus on at the beginning was not essential. It sounds bad, but like the squares that went on the top, it didn't really matter because like I stitched down the middle and then it went up. So if one side was a little wonky, like I trimmed it all off. The most important part was knowing that you had enough, that the V on the flying geese was good, and that you had your 1/4 inches around, which if you follow the ruler, you had it. Easy. So that was definitely one thing that I learned kind of the hard way halfway through, was that, I mean, accuracy matters when it does, and sometimes it just doesn't. And when you're trying to power through 672 flying geese, accuracy on some of the initial cuts went out the window, and they still turned out great. There is some points that don't quite line up, but I feel like for 672 flying geese, I'll take it. This quilt did break my sewing machine. That's a fact. I was using my brother. It started making lots of really funny sounds. I took it apart. I couldn't find anything wrong. I got a quote to get it fixed. It was going to cost more than the sewing machine was worth to get it fixed. So I didn't get it fixed. It's sitting on the floor behind me over there. Right now I have a borrowed Husqvarna. It's a great sewing machine. And then I also have a older model Juki on the floor that I'm borrowing from my mother-in-law. And before I start the next project, that's going up on the workbench. So I'm excited to try and use that one. At some point, I'd like to invest in my own new sewing machine, but right now it's just not in the cards. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this one is done. So long. It took so long. It's heavy. The binding's not perfect, but it's done. It's on. It's all stitched around. 2 out of the 4 sides aren't great. And then I tested trying to use my glue stick and pinning it down, not pinning it down, but clipping it down right where I wanted it to, and that did wonders for the alignment of my binding. It's a shame I didn't figure that out until halfway through, but it's all stitched down. I look at the quilt that I gave my daughter for Christmas, and the binding on that is definitely not perfect. But after it's been washed a few times and it's on the bed, you can't even tell. It's not even noticeable. But I'm going to move this out of the way, and then we're going to do a quick FPP demo, just real quick, because I just wanted to show this off because I've never seen it done this way, and see, maybe it can help somebody else. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I've got the materials set up here in front of me that I'm going to need for this. So I need to make 35. I'm only going to do one. I need to make 35 of these. It's an that's so bright. On point square and another square. I rough cut these out so that there's a little bit of extra on there, so that way when I trim the whole block down, I can trim it to that line and I can see it a little better. It seemed simpler. So I guess let's get into it. For this, really, I just use this guy because it's a good size. Eventually I want to get like a 2.5 by 12. I think this is 12. 10.5. 2.5 by like 10.5 little ruler, but I don't have one right now. All right, sewing machine set up. It's kind of right out of frame over here. So first things first is the middle piece, and they're labeled just like any other FPP pattern that you do. It's labeled, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I take my glue stick and on the back side, because we're not going to sew on the front, I just put a little dab of glue, and then I've got a square of it's really pretty, like minty green color, and I plop that on there, and then I'm going to check. And I'm just making sure, like when I put it through the light, that I was trying to say, there's no way you can see that, but that there's a 1/4 inch on each side of the seam here. I'm going to press that down. Okay, so that's glued in there. It's not going anywhere. That's step one. Like I didn't even think about doing that. It seems so simple, but yet I haven't done it. All right. I'll add. I'm going to use this ruler too. So for this, then you fold that back, and I only do one at a time. After discovering this, I did see some folks doing this way, and they folded all the folds at once. I tried that on one and I found that it was just way too much extra stuff happening on the thing that I didn't want to deal with. So then we're going to trim this down to 1/4 inch. So now we have a 1/4 inch there. And I've pre-cut a bunch of the outer fabrics, which this doesn't look like it's got a right side and a wrong side, but they're slightly different shades. Well, either way, these are big enough that they'll cover the whole corner. So I just take and I line these up so that they match, and that it's centered-ish, right? So it's kind of centered-ish. And then I'm gonna take this over to the sewing. Okay, and now I've sewn this on there, and you've noticed that I left it folded down, and I stitch right along that seam. So it's not stitched through the paper. So in theory, you could reuse this paper. I went ahead, I print off a whole bunch of these because I want to be able to chain piece a whole bunch of these together. But, so we're going to do that first, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to press this. Okay, so now I've got, right, we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing. I'm trying to do this so that I don't put my head right in front of the camera. Okay, and then we're going to repeat. And then once again, we'll line it up so that it's kind of centered. These pieces are slightly bigger than what's needed. So you've got a little bit of wiggle room. You've got a little bit of wiggle room on both sides. So it doesn't need to be perfectly centered. All right, at this point, you kind of get the idea. So would you speed up these last two? Okay, so now we have the block. It's on there. You can tell that I've got extra all the way around, so I can trim it down. And you can even see that I did accidentally catch a little paper right there. I pulled it through. I'll pick that paper out of there, so I won't be able to reuse this template, but I printed off enough that I've got everything. And then I'll just do these one side at a time. I know I'm leaving this open. I'm aware of that. It's just so that I can... Oh. Ooh, that's kind of what I didn't want to happen. All right. And then I'm going to do... I'm sorry if I'm blocking the camera here for a second, but I want to try and do both of these in the same... Okay, so now it's trimmed down. The paper will just come off of there. This one I'm going to chuck because it is broken. And then we have a square and square on point. And I'm just going to press this again just so that it gets nice and flat. And we've got that. I need to make 34 more of these, but I just wanted to do one demonstration of how this goes, because I feel like this is so much simpler than doing it the other way, going through the paper, because I initially was planning on doing it that way, and then I actually read the instructions and it definitely said to do it this way. So I changed it up, I tried it, and I mean, if I can get away with it, I'm not going to go back. The fabric for this Ramble quilt is amazing. I think it's a Wyndham fabric line. It's her Terraformins, it's her fabric. A lot of it has got this really cool, let's see if I can get it to to show. It's got kind of a two-tone. It's really difficult to see. Like a two-tone coloring to it. I like it. I hope I have enough, because I don't know where I can get this. I'm gonna have to special order if I happen to run a little out. The ones behind me over here, actually I keep pointing to the wrong side. The one over here, the bottom row of the curved blocks, I ended up having to redo because I did that one first, and one side of it got a little wonky. You can see that these two over here got a little wonky, and at first I was gonna just roll with it, but for some reason I realized that it ended up way bigger, wider than what the pattern called for. And if I would have trimmed it down to the dimensions that it needed to be, it would have cut into this pink fabric. Like, I was that far off. I don't know how I was that far off, but I was. So I opted to just redo it. So I might have to get more of these two colors of fabric. I don't know. And with these, I found, I think what I did differently was with this one, I initially tried just using the paper template and using scissors and cutting it out, and it wasn't very consistent. And then I went and I don't have them here. I cut a paper template out really well, so it's right on the line. It's very precise. And then I glued that really well to a piece of like this heavy duty cardboard that I found. And then I cut that out. So I was able to use my rotary cutter and cut multiple at a time. And I found that worked way better. And I got more consistent cuts. It's still not perfect. There's still a couple little inconsistencies going across, mainly on this bottom row. I don't know what it was about these two colors, but I struggled with it. So it is what it is. I think it looks really cool. I am enjoying the different techniques that are coming out of each different block. And then I just got shipping confirmation today for the first package from the Amish with a twist in the Tula Pink fabrics. So that should be showing up soon. And then I will start that one too. Like, I don't need more projects, right? I'm trying to think, because there's a whole, like, my shelf over here is just stacked with fabric and different things that I've got going on, and it's just, I like to kind of bounce around on projects. So, but I think I've rambled on now for 32 minutes, and I appreciate everybody that was patient and gave me almost 40 something days to come back for a next update. I had a blast at QuiltCon. It was a lot of fun. I didn't get any video or any footage. I brought my son with me, and it was like, there was so many people, it was absolute chaos. So it took a lot of focus to just keep going. But it's enough of that. Check back in next time, and please like, subscribe, do all the things. It truly helps me out so that I know that everybody is enjoying the content that I'm putting out. And I will see everybody next time.